Hi guys, now in previous class we have discussed what is bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So what is mean by bioaccumulation, Anna? Entering of heavy metals or pollutants into the each and every tropic level is called bioaccumulation, and their concentration of the pollutants in each and every level tropic level is called biomagnification. Okay, now we'll discuss the bioaccumulation of heavy metals in the fishes like Cyprinus carpio by taking one case study of Adilabad water reservoir. So nowadays each and every aquatic body like water reservoirs or rivers which are surrounding by the urban cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, etc., they are mostly polluting with a lot of factors, human interventions like development of industries. They are releasing their lot of effluents chemicals directly into the water bodies, and agriculture sector, their runoff directly releasing into the water bodies. Because of these all human interventions, what is happening, a lot of heavy metals are entering into water bodies, and they are showing what, Nana, lot of damage to the biota of the aquatic animals, of aquatic bodies. How these metals are accumulating into the water bodies and how they are accumulating into the living things in an aquatic ecosystem, we will discuss. Okay, so mostly fishes are highly sensitive. Fishes are highly sensitive to these heavy metals of aquatic bodies, Nana. That's why recently fishes are called what, Nana? Bioindicators. Fishes are called as what, Nana? Bioindicators. Why? Because they are very high or highly sensitive to these heavy metals. So they are entering into their body. So now we'll discuss what, Nana? These heavy metals such as ferrous, nickel, cadmium, plumbum, and chromium, etc. How these heavy metals are entering into the body of fishes by taking one Adilabad water reservoir case study. Okay, so Adilabad water reservoir is located where, Nana? Nearby the urban of Rangareddy in Telangana district, Telangana state, Nana. So nearby Rangareddy district. Okay, so it is one of the most polluted reservoir in the Telangana. So that's why we have taken this reservoir. So we need to take the samples, sample water and fishes from this reservoir, and we need to make the comparison with another reservoir which is 30 kilometers away, 30 kilometers away from Adilabad water reservoir, that is BB Nagar, BB Nagar water reservoir of Nalgonda district. Nalgonda district. Okay, now. So we are taking water, sample water of Adilabad water reservoir. Adilabad, where it is located in Rangareddy district, and the sample water and the fishes like what, Nana? Cyprinus carpio, the local scale fishes, Nana, which are very rich protein food with a very cheap cost. So these fishes supplying a lot of nutritious value food material to the population of the Adilabad water reservoir surrounding areas. Okay, so very cheap and high protein food it is this Cyprinus carpio is supplying. So which are people living surrounding of Adilabad water reservoir. So these fishes and the sample water is collected from the Adilabad water reservoir, and to make the comparative study we have taken what, Nana? Sample water and fishes from BB Nagar water reservoir of Nalgonda district, which is 30 kilometers away from Adilabad water reservoir. Okay, now we are making the comparative study. For this study we need to take the water samples from 3 seasons, Nana. Pre-monsoon season, pre-monsoon, so that is from February to May, one season pre-monsoon, and monsoon season, that is from June to September, and post monsoon season, that is from what, Nana? October to January. So in these 3 seasons we need to collect the samples, Nana. In these 3 seasons and 3 samples in each season. In each season 3 samples in 3 stations. Okay. So total 27 samples we need to collect. 3 stations of the 2 water reservoirs or 2 tanks, and each season 3 times. Okay, and 3 places and 3 samples of water from 3 different stations. Okay, now in each season we need to collect 3 times. So total 27 water samples and fishes are collected to make the comparative study of heavy metals. So if you observe these, how the heavy metals are entering. So because of what contamination, releasing of lot of effluents into the water bodies because of industries, etc. Most of the Adilabad water reservoir is contaminated with heavy metals. If you observe the contamination of heavy metals and their level in the Adilabad water reservoir is what, from ferrous to cadmium, following the procedure. Okay. For example, these standards are more than the standards of India. How much heavy metals are accumulated into the water bodies is what, Nana? It is more than the standards of Indian standards, Nana. From ferrous to cadmium, more amount of ferrous than plumbum, than chromium, nickel and cadmium, etc. Okay, now this shows what, Nana? The accumulation of heavy metals in the bodies of fishes, Cyprinus carpio. Especially they were accumulated in where, Nana? The small very delicate parts like kidneys and liver, and also what, Nana? And in the gills. So they were accumulated in the kidneys, liver, gills. So that's why the 2 tanks we collected water samples and fishes. We observed what, Nana? Their parts of like kidneys, liver, gills for the accumulation of heavy metals, and also for protein like lipids and glycogen, means stored food material, glycogen. So if we make the comparison, what happened, Nana? The Adilabad fishes, water reservoir fishes, are having what, Nana? More higher bioaccumulation of these chemicals and less glycogen and lipids than BB Nagar water reservoir. If you make the comparison with the BB Nagar water reservoir fishes, Adilabad water reservoir fishes have higher bioaccumulation of heavy metals and lesser proteins like glycogen and lipids, etc. So in that fish bodies, what, cadmium is higher amount, means even though the less concentration of cadmium is very sensitive to the fishes, so that's why the cadmium is reaching to the body of the fishes into their kidneys and liver and gills, etc. So very less concentration of cadmium in the water body is also very dangerous to the fishes. Why? Because they are very highly accumulating in the fish bodies, and these chemicals are entering into the human bodies through the human food chain. So obviously they are taking the food material. So as these fishes, whenever they take in the food material of these fishes, that metals are entering into the human body and causing so many physiological disorders like hypertension, heart stroke, blood pressure, low blood pressures, etc. Okay, so these are the problems. What may be the reasons, Nana? Industrial development, so many small scale industries and agriculture runoffs, and even occupying the lands, yes, constructing roads, dams, reservoirs, and deforestation, cutting of forests, yes, especially the development of one side of the coin, and what happens, Nana? The imbalance in the ecosystem in the another side of the coin. Okay, now one more important disease because of pollutants and chemical pollutants are contamination of the heavy metals, Minimata disease, Nana. Minimata disease. So this Minimata disease first time discovered in the year 1956, Nana. Minimata. disease in the year 1956. It was discovered in the 1956 nana, in the place of Minamata area of Kumamoto prefecture of Japan nana, of a Japan country. So in the year 1932 to 1968, almost 36 years, that Chisso Corporation company, Chisso Corporation, so it's a chemical corporation nana, so it ran almost 36 years nana. It released a very harmful chemical like methyl mercury into the water body, like Bay of Minamata and also Shiranui's Bay of Minamata and also Shiranui Sea. So in these two water bodies, this corporation released methyl mercury into the water body nana. So this was accumulated in the water body and also entered into the human body through the food chain. Okay, almost 36 years there are a lot of deaths taken place because of this methyl mercury nana. So that disease is called as Minamata disease. So it damages the brain especially. Lot of domesticated animals like dog, cat, pigs and also human beings also died because of this Minamata disease. Okay, this disease discovered in the 1956. Finally this corporation was closed in the 1968. This is also one of the tragedy of human interventions. Okay, and one more important thing nana, on this earth no animal can escape or avoid the crisis. Okay, crisis of food, and they cannot avoid the natural disasters itself. So maybe natural disasters we can't avoid, and no animal can avoid. But here in the year 1958, one animal faced a great disaster, and almost their total population of that place was completely extincted or endangered nana, because of not the natural disaster, man-made disaster. So no animal on this earth faced this kind of problem ever and after. So that is what are sparrows. That are what are sparrows. What happened to these sparrows in the year 1958? Let's see. So during that time, China is what nana, mostly agrarian country, means depended on only agriculture. So it is an agrarian country. It wants to develop and it wants to increase the industrial products by supporting with agriculture products nana. For industrial developments where they required raw material, so to supply sufficient amount of raw material, they want to develop or increase the production of agriculture, and they want to compete with a lot of developed countries like America, Russia, Japan, etc. So for this what nana, that is an agriculture dependent country. So mostly they want to develop most of the food material, they want to increase the productivity. That's why they established the 5,000 cooperative farmer families nana, or collective farmer families. So families, 5,000 cooperative families put together, and government has decided to attain certain goals. So to reach or to compete with the developed countries, they set up one goal with the 5,000 cooperative families to increase the productivity from the agriculture. So unfortunately they succeeded for the first year, and they produced more productivity than what they estimated. So by seeing this, but next year government also set up more goals than their limits. So government also next year they set up more goals nana. Unfortunately because of weather and other conditions, and not supporting from the weather and other conditions, they did not reach their targets, Nana. They did not reach their targets. But what happened, Nana? These less targets were achieved by the people. So the local government bodies, like local government officials or agriculture officials, by afraid of their China government, so they written what, Nana? High values on the papers. Okay, they did not achieve the targets, but afraid of the government, that local agriculture officials, so they written what, Nana? They written something extra than what they achieved. So but what happened, Nana? Gradually, so there is a imbalance in the demand and supply with the population and the food material. So immediately what happened, Nana? The continuous year, they faced the imbalance. They faced the imbalance in the demand and supply between the population and food. So immediately that officials, what they did, Nana? They put, to escape from the punishment, they put this mistake on the sparrows. What type of punishment they are expecting? So maybe job, they may be lost job, or they may be threatened, or they may be put in the jail. So that's why, to escape from that punishment, simply they put the mistake on what, Nana? Sparrows. What they said, almost each and every sparrow have taken what, Nana? Has taken 4 pounds of grains. Each and every sparrow took what, Nana? 4 pounds of grains from the godowns or warehouses, etc. in each year. In a single year, every sparrow took almost 4 pounds of grains. So by seeing all these, government immediately ordered what, Nana? So what kind of order they gave? Simply everyone has to what, Nana? Kill the sparrows which are available in the total country. So free zone areas are declared to fire out each and every sparrow, and traps were established to collect all the sparrows to kill them, and even they declared awards to the schools and other government organizations who kill more sparrows. They will be awarded with so many things, etc. And even they broken the nests and nestlings and eggs, etc. Even they started to drumming drumming against the birds not to sit or not to take the rest. So because of fatigue or because of tired of wings, they may fall on the ground, they may die, etc. So that's why they implemented different techniques to kill all the sparrows on the in the China, etc. So by all these things, what happened, and almost every sparrow was killed that time. So while this was happening, some of the scientists have collected the sparrows and they cut the digestive system of the sparrow to know, is it really that amount of grains are eaten by the sparrows or not. But unfortunately, or most surprisingly, they found that the 3/4 of the sparrow's digestive system, 3/4 of the digestive system is filled with what, Nana? So many harmful insects which are damaging the crops. 3/4 of their stomach is filled with what, Nana? So many pests which are damaging the plants, etc. Only 1/4 of their stomach is filled with the grains. But this discovery was too late. The total birds were finished or killed. So what happened the next year? Later, even though they killed the birds, their production was not increased. Lack of these insectivorous birds, more amount of pests and insects were increased, and they got lot of damages, and still there is a reduction in the crop than their targets. That's why these kind of crisis, human-made crisis, faced by the sparrows. So this was the biggest mistake and most cruel incident because of human beings on the animals. No animal can face this kind of problem on the earth. Okay, now next, how to control these pests without using pesticides. Okay, if we use pesticides, what is happening, Nana? They are also killing some useful living things, and also damaging the soil, and soil pollution takes place, and also it leads to imbalance in the food chains. Now, how to protect our environment from the pesticides? Simply, the best solution is what, Nana? Ban pesticide. But is it possible, Nana? If we ban the pesticides, what happens? Immediately, every farmer asks that if we ban the pesticides, then how can we control the pests which are attacking to our crops? Okay, so that's why it is not possible to ban pesticides. Then how can we control the pests? So it is not possible to ban pesticides completely. So for this, we need to follow other remedies or other techniques to control the pests, and also at least we need to decrease the pesticides. Okay, let's see some of the other remedies to control the pests. If it is not possible to ban pesticides, at least we need to reduce by implementing these techniques. Let's see, first best method, what, Nana? Crop rotation method. So every year if we cultivate same kind of crops, what happens, Nana? More amount of fungi and more amount of pests may habituate to our crops, and they may damage. So that's why if we rotate the crops every year, so one type of pest may not attack to the other type of pest, other type of crops. Okay, that's why we need to rotate the crops every year and every season. If it is possible, every season we can rotate. Why? Because one type of pest cannot affect the other type of crops. Okay, now next, studying the history of the insects or pests. If we studying the life cycle of insects, if we study the life cycle of insects under the entomology subject, what happens, Nana? At least we get to know in which season their number is more. So based on this, we can cultivate or we can sow the seeds in the other seasons. Otherwise, by studying their life cycle, we can at least control them whenever the stages are required. Okay, now third step, Nana, rendering their sterility. Okay, next, based on sterility. So we need to render the male insects to be sterile. Sterile means what, Nana? They are unable to produce their germ cells or sex cells or sperm cells. So if we render them to be sterile, if we render them the male insects should be sterile, what happens, Nana? So they are unable to produce the germ cells, their number may not increase. So we need to render the male insects to be sterile, so they are unable to produce their next. Now, genetically modified crops. So we need to use what, Nana? Genetically modified crops instead of normal or indigenous crops. If we use these crops, what happens, Nana? At least they can protect from pests, and they can tolerate in water scarcity areas, etc. Okay, now one more thing, Nana, bioremedies. What is meant by bioremedies? So instead of using pesticides, we need to implement what, Nana? Some predator animals and predator birds. We need to grow some predator animals and some predator birds in our fields, so at least they can kill and they eat these harmful insects, etc. Yes, and finally, most important thing, Nana, following the ethical values of environment. Okay, so as a human being, we should maintain some morality, and what is good to environment and what is not good to environment, we should know and we should follow. By following the moral values and ethical values about the environment. Why? Because environment is a God gift. how we got the environment in the purest way, we need to transfer to the next generation. So that's why we need to have the moral values and ethical values about the nature, and what to do and what not to do about the environment. Okay, then this is about what are the methods or techniques to control pests and protect our environment, and also maintain the balance in also helping in maintaining the balance of ecosystem between the food chains. And in earlier first class we discussed who introduced the ecological pyramids in the year 1927. So in the 1927 we discussed that is Tansley, but not Tansley, that is, sorry, it is Charles Elton. Charles Elton. So in previous class I said that that is A.G. Tansley. Actually A.G. Tansley coined the word different ecosystems. A.G. Tansley coined the word different ecosystems. Different ecosystems. But these ecological pyramids were coined by Charles Elton in the 1927. Just change it now. That is not Tansley, that is Elton. And one more important thing, so nowadays we are thinking about biofuel. So generally from the last few decades we are using from the last few decades or centuries we are using fossil fuels. Yes, what are means by fossil fuels? Whenever the dead plants and animals buried under the ground and they are break down in the anaerobic conditions, they produce biofuels, fossil fuels like petrol, coal, natural gas, etc. But biomass is also used as a fuel. That's why we are trying to use this biomass as a fuel. Okay, nowadays we want to shift. Even though if we burn biomass, we also produce carbon dioxide. But only this carbon dioxide can be used as a starting material for photosynthesis process. That's why we need to shift from fossil fuels to biofuels by using biomass. Okay, so there may be a change expected in the future which helps to control the pollution. Okay, Nana? Thank you. If you have any doubts, please put text in the comment box. Until then, bye.